Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mention It All podcast. I'm loving Real Housewives of Orange County season 20, and so I'm excited to have another one of our longtime housewives in the studio. Gina Kirschenheiter, welcome.
Hi.
You're looking great.
Thank you.
It's season 20. It's your 8th season on the show.
I know, I'm tired.
We were just talking a little bit about the roller coaster of the last 8 years. How does it feel to be on this? You know, it's a historic 20th season of the original franchise. Obviously, it's an iconic show, but thinking about that, it's like you're also now a big piece of it. You've been there for almost half the time.
It's weird. It's so weird. I never even ever expected to be on this show, get on this show, stay on this show. So honestly, it has been a wild ride. And I think it's really cool because clearly like I'm a different type of housewife.
Yeah.
But I love that I kind of do represent, you know, a more relatable woman who's just kind of like gone through it.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool to just represent a more relatable person on the show.
I agree. And I think like when you join, because you joined in season 13.
Yeah.
The show's already been on for a long time. It can take like a few cycles to get out of that like new girl kind of positioning.
Yeah.
But then it's like you take a look around and it's like, wait, you and Emily have been on the show longer consecutively than anyone except Shannon at this point. Like,
yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah.
And it's like, we're not the new girl.
We always feel like we're still, you know, not the veterans, you know,
Yeah.
because the other women who have, you know, like Heather and Tamra, although it's not been maybe consecutive, they've come back and
Right.
they still have way more of a footprint on it than we do, you know? So
yeah, I think it's so, because I was looking at your first season, and with Vicki back this year, 5 out of the 6 housewives from that season are on season 20. We're only missing Kelly Dodd.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. That's pretty wild. That's
And it's like,
wild.
oh yeah, like there's been a lot of like shifts and changes,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, like there is a lot of really interesting history and layers
our
and everything.
relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking back to my first season, look at how Vicki felt about me my first season to now. I mean, night and day. And
It is,
Shannon.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really doing good.
Yeah,
you know?
it's funny because your first season was Vicki's last season until now as a full-time
that's
housewife.
wild. Yeah.
And she is, you know, not always the most welcoming and friendly to the
No,
new women in
she's
the group.
not.
We're seeing it
At
again with
all.
Carmella.
Yeah, it's just rinse and repeat with Victoria. Yep.
What was it like for you? Because obviously she had appeared on the show since then in certain seasons. What was how much of a dynamic did you even have in those kind of in-between years when she wasn't around the group as much?
You know what? I remember she came and showed up on one of our Mexico trips.
Yeah.
And that's when I first recognized that she looked at me differently. I think at that point, like I hadn't yet gone back and got my real estate license or anything like that, but I had like gone through a lot of my life challenges, and I was, you know, doing the right thing by co-parenting with my ex, and I was like on my way to kind of like trying to pick myself back up, and she was very kind to me.
Yeah.
And she like went out of her way, I remember on that trip, to like have this whole moment where she just like said a lot of really nice things to me, and I was like, who is this woman?
Like
you know,
body snatcher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like who was in Vicki's body? Yes, but it was really nice, and I was like, oh, huh, you know. And I just registered that, and I was like, oh, Vicki's looking at me differently, you know. And then when she came back, and then I saw her like at BravoCon. She was so now.
Yes.
I mean, I work. So now I can do no wrong with Victoria.
And there's no way to Vicki's heart like being a woman who works.
Just being like a worker bee. Yes, like with like a real job. Like
Yeah.
she loves that. So yeah.
I have loved seeing you really like flourish in the real estate space, because
Thank
it
you.
feels like when you first say you want to do that and start doing it, it's like you really, there's no way you have to just like keep
Do
at it.
Yes, it's a really difficult job. And honestly, I didn't know if I was going to be successful in it either. But you know what? I do think that that's where the East Coast in me comes out, and like the grit comes out. And it's like my mindset has been, I won't fail. Like I'm now in on this. I'm all in on this, and like, fuck it. Like I'm going to be successful at this. And you just grind it out, and you do all the things that you have to do to make yourself successful, you know. And that is, I think at my core, I've always worked my whole life, and you know, I'm like an underdog, but look at me, even on the Housewives. Like, no one fucking thought I'd still be here, you know? But like, I will grind it out, you know?
Well, and I think too, it's like people, you know, people meet you at a certain point in your life when you join a show like this. And I mean, part of watching a reality show is forming opinions about people. And that, like, when you go through ups and downs, it's like, people get to have lots of different opinions about you, and I think like you've kind of just like put your head down and weathered that, and like now it's okay, we're not like
opinions were great. I loved that. Like, yes,
like I loved every comment about my hair extensions.
Oh my god, as if I'm blind, as if I don't see what I look like, as if I don't understand that I'm struggling. The thing that was unfortunate for me was when I joined the show, I joined it like what was the worst pivotal moment of my life.
Right.
And then it got even worse, you know? And then I had to rebuild and restart my whole life. And it really wasn't easy for me. And I was dealing with a lot of trauma and like a lot of, you know, just horrible stuff. But like I always say to my kids, you know, it's not about like the mistakes that you make. It's about how you respond to them. And I think that what the viewers have seen in me that they like is that I respond to these things well. Mm-hmm. And I evolve and I find personal growth and I keep trying and wanting to get better. And I think that resonates with people. You know, I think that's who a lot of people like want to be too. So
yeah. Well, and I think seeing like the life that you've built with Travis and, you know, combining your families and navigating those, you know, different situations, like it feels like you're in a completely different like space as a person than you were.
Why couldn't that be easy? Like, why do I always have to get just the hard route? Like, it can never just get like that expressly. And like, why couldn't I just meet like a prince or something, you know, like with no kids, nothing, no baggage? That would have been ideal. But no, I had to go fall in love with this man. It's his birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday, Travis.
Happy birthday, Travis. We love you.
Is he here in New York with you?
No.
Okay.
Left his ass home.
We'll get to that later. We'll get to the birthday later.
He's with all of the children.
Great.
Happy birthday.
He's having a chill, easy day.
And working full time.
But look, that's what you need is somebody who can stay at home with all the kids. That is why I love
this man. Yeah. Because he is so legit. Like, he is so legit. Yeah.
Because we've had on reality TV other parenting situations where it's like, I'm leaving my husband at home with the baby for 1 hour, and I'm very nervous about how it's going to go.
That's insane. That's insane. Like, what is that? If you are worried that they can't care for the baby, you shouldn't be having a baby.
So dad's babysitting today.
Right, yeah. And you don't even trust the babysitter. That's bad. You know, that's bad.
Okay, I want to talk about season 20 a little bit. Going into this season, you know, Vicki's back in the group. Obviously, you guys are better than you had been in the past. Tamra and Heather, it feels like every season with Tamra and Heather, we're in some place of like, how do we feel about them as friends? Can I trust them? Are they real friends? Yeah. What is it like for you, having known both of them for quite a while now, navigating those kind of like ebbs and flows of, is it genuine? Are they changing? Yeah. How do I feel? Because it's a lot of...
It's like pretty annoying, I'd say. I'm being very honest, yeah. Because it is a little like you are, it's the same thing, you know, every year. And it's like, ladies, you either trust each other or you don't. You're either going to tell each other completely how you really feel or you're not, you know. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know why they got so off track or why there's always like a thing there. So part of me is like, is it like a top dog kind of energy, you know, where they're kind of, I don't know what it is, you know?
Yeah. It's tricky too, because when you're, obviously you have, you know, friendships and relationships, and then there's the added element of being on the show together. Like, it does feel like maybe there's some kind of like jockeying
underlying jockeying. Yeah. And it kind of, it has at times felt like that to me, but I also am like careful to label it that, because what I don't want is for me to be like, that's what it feels like to me. And then instead of them having that weird energy with each other, now both of them have that energy at me.
Yes.
And we're not trying to do that, ladies. Okay. So, but you know.
I mean, I feel like, I think it speaks to partially like the history that a lot of you now have with each other of like, things in this group can really get swirled around quickly, where it's like, okay, like I said something and then Emily said it to somebody else, and then it did get kind of twisted, and suddenly it's like everybody's mad at each other.
Right, but that's the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I get a little frustrated when we all are like sitting around and it's like, but you told her and her and her and her. Okay, well,
right.
Yes, I did do that because I didn't see you for the whole week. I saw all these other people and I did have the same opinion every time I saw everybody else. And now, yeah, we're at the end and you're mad at me because I told everybody else.
Yeah.
But like, that's just part of what this is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it feels to me like that's kind of what happened with the Carmella like Dior bag and dildo thing, where it was like,
yeah.
You had an opinion immediately that was like, that's kind of weird.
And it was consistent.
Which I agreed with, by the way.
Thank you.
Like, I'm like, nice
yes.
gift can also still be like a little
both
strange.
Things can be true. Like, I'm not telling Emily to give the bag back. I'm also like, my birthday's May 11th, you know, but at the same time, you know, it just struck me as weird. And I didn't know Carmella. So
right.
This is me getting to know her. And this is the first thing she did.
Right.
But I was also like, good for you, Carmella. Like, good for you, girl. Like, you know, it was interesting. It was intriguing and it was fun, you know, to be like, and Emily is like truly my best friend, right? So it's like, if I'm sitting around and she's like, this bitch bought me a Dior bag, I'm gonna be like, that's fucking weird. Like,
right.
You know?
But then it's like, then there are 3 more conversations, like you say, and then suddenly it's like a month later and you're sitting at this winery or whatever.
Things happen fast. That was probably all within 1 week.
Okay,
but
fair enough.
But yeah,
but it's like, it feels like Emily's birthday was ages ago.
I know.
And it's like,
it's all I could talk about.
And it's like, now we're all like cold outside at this winery and we're having the same conversation.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, you haven't changed your tune on that.
Never changed my opinion. It's just now I'm going to communicate it to you. And honestly, you know, it's this type of thing where it's like, look, what is the show? The show is to be honest and open about your feelings and opinions. If you're sitting with your girlfriend, if anybody else was sitting with their girlfriend, they know damn well they would be talking shit. They would have an opinion about that bag. I did that because I, you know, have signed up to be honest and authentic about my feelings. Then Emily made a decision to go and tell Carmella that.
Right.
Okay, so now
which we love Emily so much, and she's great at being on the show.
She's great. Emily, yes. And like that's why like obviously I would never get like truly like it did take me by surprise that she went and told her, but also I understand. You know what I mean? But then when we get to the end now, okay, I'm going to have a conversation with Carmella about this. And I'm just going to be honest about what I've been saying the whole week, which is I do think that it's odd that you don't know her. Your impression of her was X, Y, and Z. And it made my spidey sense go up, you know?
Yeah. And also that Vicki doesn't think you're a developer.
And also now that I've said everything I have to say, let me throw Victoria under the bus real quick.
If anybody can take it.
Well, and that's the thing too that I didn't like. Like I felt like my name was a little bit getting thrown around in the like, and Gina doesn't like is making comments anything about her career because I wasn't. And you see that like all I would say was when I was asked directly, Carmella has told me that she's a developer. I have no reason to think that she's not. You know, I've never said anything about that, and purposely too, because I don't want to ever disparage her business because I'm in the same business. I know how hard we all work. Like I'm not, you know, in for that. If I had anything to say to Carmella about anything to do with her business, I would say it to her face.
Yeah. I think Tamra suggests that perhaps you're jealous of Carmella.
I just feel like that's such a cop-out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just feel like that's like they wanted you to say that or something. You know what I mean? Because like there's no part of me, first of all, that I think anybody thinks like that I read jealous. Like I'm not. I'm a very secure person and I'm a very proud person. And I feel like proud, secure people are just simply not jealous. You know, I just feel like that's it was a very logical response that I had. And I feel like it's just to minimize it to like, oh, she was jealous is just, come on, you could do better than that.
Yeah. So then when, you know, I guess Tamra maybe said that like in her confessional, so you're not hearing it in real time.
Yeah.
So then now when you see that episode,
she always accuses me of being the interview bandit. And
so
I'm
now
like,
are you texting
girl.
Tamra like,
I mean, I probably should, but honestly, I don't care. I don't care. It's a Dior bag. Like, it's not that serious, you know? Like, I don't ever really take any of that to heart. I don't really care.
Has your relationship with stuff like that is said or happens on the show changed over the years that you've been on it? Do you take things less seriously? Do you laugh things off more? Or how do you kind of navigate that?
Did.
Yeah.
I've always had a pretty thick skin when it comes to the other women. I just never have really cared that much about that stuff. And honestly, my bigger like things and issues was surviving my own life. So the drama with the women was just never really something that would get my panties in a wad, to be honest.
I think that is so healthy.
Yeah, it really is. Yes, it really is healthy. And I say everything I have to say.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference between like having an argument with somebody or going back and forth over something and sort of leaving it there and like, oh, we argued, so now I hate this person, or like now this is my
I don't
vendetta. Yeah.
I'm just not that way. I don't like to have problems with people. I'm not trying to have problems with people. Like, for me to now be like, I'm going to have a problem with Tamra because she said I'm jealous. It's just that's not in my nature, you know?
It's like, we got a lot of season left.
We got a lot of season left. I'm busy. I have 6 kids. I have 2 jobs. I just can't be.
Yeah.
And it was so stupid, you know?
I'm curious, like with Vicki and Tamra and Shannon all back on the show together. Obviously, that's a big point of question of like, is the Tres Amigas thing gonna happen again?
Yeah.
And we're seeing how it goes. You know, we hugged at the Quiet Woman, and
we hugged. Shannon has boundaries.
Shannon helped set up for Tamra's party decorations,
surprising.
Which was I thought a very nice gesture.
You know what was so interesting too? When I walked into that party, it didn't even register to me because I'm like in my own world. So I was just like, actually, what registered to me was I was like, damn, Shannon, you're on time. Like, you know, I was like, that was literally my thought process. And then it took me a minute, and then I was like, oh wait, you're like helping set up this party. And then I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, yeah, but it's nice. I mean, I think they're taking slow steps towards, I think that Tamra would probably wish that it was faster. I think that some ways we all are just kind of like, can you just let it go and move on? But then at the same time, like, we also were there for a lot of the stuff that they went through, and their fights got pretty vicious, you know? So,
well, and I think with, you know, Vicki's coming back onto the show, into the group more, and she's been off the platform for a while, whereas like Tamra and Shannon have spent the last couple seasons on the show like really locking horns over stuff. So it's like for them, like there isn't necessarily that like, oh, it's like old times. It's like, no, like I've been fighting with this girl for the last 3 years.
It's nostalgic for Vicki because when she left still as an amiga, you know, and then that whole blew up, but not really for Vicki. So like she has no problem coming back in and be like, let's just be the Tres Amigas again, you know, and God bless her for that, but she wasn't here for the last, you know, couple years that they were just ripping each other apart. Mm-hmm. So it was tough.
How do you, because you've been through a lot of changes in who's on the show, who's coming in and out of the group now. Like going into this season, we had Katie and Gretchen who were on last year and who aren't on the show this year. How much do you feel like those types of changes affect the overall group dynamic, or do you kind of just like focus on yourself and whoever's at the party is at the party?
That is how I approach it, truly. But like, I would be lying if I said that it didn't affect the group dynamic. You know what I mean? So I do show up every year, and I like to give new people a chance. I think it's more fun with new people too. So, I always think that's a good thing, a positive thing. And I think that this year as a cast, it felt good. Like it just felt like it clicked. It made sense. Like I don't even know really how to describe it. And that's like way above my pay grade, right? Like who's on or off. But like I could just tell you like it did feel good this year. Yeah. So, and it was so hard last year with Gretchen and Tamra. I mean, they kept bringing back friends of that had like horrific relationships with people in the group before we had Gretchen, we had Alexis whose fiance was Shannon's boyfriend for like 7 years.
Tough,
you know what I mean? Like, that's tough. That's a tough.
Just somebody you would organically be hanging out with all the time.
Which was so unfortunate too, because I actually thought Alexis was such a great housewife.
Yeah.
It just was we couldn't get, neither one of them could possibly like just pretend like that wasn't happening, you know? So
no, I think it's fun to have new people in the group, but also it's like it can be really difficult to figure out the exact right recipe.
Right. But unfortunately, that's not my job.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not my job.
Exactly.
And you know what? Whatever ingredients they put in the pot, I'm in there swimming around with them, and it's fine. Is
there anyone who's not on the show anymore that you've like kept up a relationship with more like since their time?
No.
Yeah.
No. Because nobody really like sustained enough to like
there's been a lot of
lasting relationship.
1 or 2 seasons.
Yeah. So I really haven't been able to like develop, I feel like, as enough of a friendship. I could tell you that now, where I stand now, like if I was to be off next year, I think I would still stay in contact with a lot of my castmates, right? And I think that like Jen Pedranti, I will always be cool with. Heather, I'll always be cool. Like, honestly, most of my cast, I would feel like is a relationship now at this point that spans beyond the show, which is nice.
Yeah, I think Jen is somebody who it felt like she came on the show and sort of immediately fit with the vibe.
Yes.
And obviously, like, you know, she had a lot going on in her personal life that first, you know, season or two. But it felt like she kind of had that, like, it felt like she had been there longer than she had almost.
Well, she knew a lot of us. I knew her prior.
Yeah.
Tamra knew her prior. Even though she walloped her, but you know, like they knew each other for a long time.
Yeah, historic friends.
Yeah, there were a lot of history there. But I think that the recipe is being yourself.
Yeah.
I think that the women, you could be anybody. You could be anybody. And it's actually more interesting the more different we all are, as long as you're being yourself. And I think that the cast right now, if you really look at everyone who's on the cast right now, including Carmella, that is true, in my opinion, of every single person that's on the cast right now. Like, I obviously am myself. I don't have any other... I just don't have
there's no code switching.
There's no code switching. It's like too much. I annoy myself when I watch myself sometimes, but like I'm like, that's fucking me, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously I do think that everybody, fancy pants, I mean, that Heather is so Heather. Heather you see show up this year in a way that's like also so much more like, I think Heather was always being honest about who she was, but she wasn't showing all the sides of her. And the more she's on, the more comfortable she's getting, which maybe it's just our relationships are getting closer too. She's more vulnerable. So I think you see her in a way that you've never seen her before this year. And I love that for her.
Yeah, I think it does feel like Heather is like very, maybe more than her first kind of time that she spent on the show. It feels like she really is like a part of the group with all of you in a way that feels very lived in, I think.
And her walls are down more and she's more vulnerable, but that's still like, even when her walls were up, that's still really Heather being Heather. It just takes her longer to get vulnerable in relationships, I think. And so now you see her way more comfortable and, you know, more comfortable in her own opinions and sharing her opinions. And I'm like, don't forget you're a New Yorker, Heather, you know? So I think you see her show up in a really cool way this year.
Yeah.
Even if she's mad at me, whatever, it's still like cool to see her being real.
I had a blast with the past the other day because Elizabeth Vargas was having like drama on TikTok.
Oh, okay. So I actually do. That's so funny. Elizabeth Vargas always ends up popping up in my world. So I'm not surprised to hear that, but she's actually very sweet.
Yeah. It was
I always
like
forget that. But
somebody had like rented her beach house and the freezer wasn't working and they were having like a bad time with the customer service.
I am not surprised by any of this, but she's so sweet. She's so nice. She's like the first person to text you when like good things happen in your life. And
that's nice.
She's truly like a character. Like I almost feel like she got a raw deal because of she was on the COVID year.
That was a tough season.
It was a tough season, but also, I don't know. I mean, I think that it would be more fun if she also, she doesn't have kids. She doesn't have, so.
Did you guys ever have a virtual reunion, or were you able to?
We didn't have a virtual reunion. I remember we were doing the interviews in our garages at one point.
Yes,
so they had to like take half of the garage. And I was like, you guys, seriously, like I live in a condo. Everybody's already calling me poor. I have 6 kids. I have 6 bicycles in this fucking garage. And now you want me to also give you half of it to do an interview?
Right. And Heather's probably in her like pool house, full setup.
Right. Like her garage is bigger than my condo. Like that's not fair,
yes.
But we made do. We got
I thought it was so fascinating. I mean, for that couple year period where different shows were being affected in different ways, and you guys were like deep in filming when everything shut down, whereas like some shows the reunion was virtual or like 7 feet apart or whatever. Like it's a crazy time to think about.
It was why isn't it so wild?
Yeah I was looking back, there were like photos of you on Watch What Happens Live where you're just like a box in the
that was probably better for me though, because it was probably more kind than me in person.
Wait, I do. Okay, I love going through the like Getty images.
Oh, it's probably so fun for you.
Okay, no, but I wanted to show you. That was
my first ever Watch What Happens Live.
Yes.
Yeah. You know why I wore that dress? Because it looked like I saw photos of his
the green room.
The green room. And I was like, oh my God, this is the green room.
It is giving Watch What Happens Live green room.
That's how excited I was.
Do you remember back to that time, like the experience of getting to do stuff like that for the first time? You were at the first BravoCon, like.
Yes, it was wild. It's still wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's still so surreal to me that even like people will come up to me and like, you can, it's really cool actually. Like you can make somebody's day just by taking a picture with them. Like what a privilege that is, and I never lose sight of that. I find that to be so exciting. I think it's so nice when people come up to you and they want to say, that's not the bad part. Oh, you're going to come up to me and tell me how pretty I look and that you love me and that I'm your favorite and that, like, okay, like that's all the good stuff. But yeah, I remember back being like, what is, and it's so nerve-wracking the first time you go on. Yeah. It's so scary and wild. And even today, I'm like, oh my God, I like seriously, like, I know I'm like, okay, I'm going on Watch What Happens Live for like now the 900th time. So it's a little different, I'm not going to lie, but it's still very exciting and it still is very cool.
Yeah.
And, it's not lost on me.
Well, I think it's cool to be a part of this like larger thing. And when you go to BravoCon, like seeing that it's like, it's like our show has its own corner, but then it's like this whole universe is like it's massive
a galaxy.
Thing. Yeah.
It's insane. And it's insane to be even a small part of it when I never thought like any of it's like I'm from Long Island. I'm just a girl from Long Island. When I first got on the show, I was like, I drive a minivan. Like none of this is normal. And it's like, who thought that like in your 30s, it's going to be your life implodes and you're like, oh, here's a Hail Mary. I'm going to be fucking famous now. What the fuck is that? Like, like who does that?
I'm curious in the real estate side of things, do you feel like the impact of your TV like notoriety or whatever on that, or do you feel like they're pretty separate?
I feel like they're okay, here's what I will say. Like when it comes to my business, like my production business, I have to work really hard for all of my business. I do not get business. I've gotten maybe 2 deals as a result of being on the show, which I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. Thank you, But most of my deals come from pounding the pavement, being active in my community, referrals. Like absolutely, right? But I've had really, really wonderful opportunities the last year and a half where I now am able to go do public speaking. Yeah,
where you're combining the platform with the actual skill set.
And like I'm put on panels at like Inman, which is like a huge real estate platform, right? Yes. And it's like if it wasn't for my platform that I've worked on for the past 8 years to build, there's no way that I would be the agent that I am now, who's still pretty new, walking onto those panels, doing public speaking for my brokerage in front of thousands of people. Like, those opportunities are because of the platform, but I've also been working hard to build that platform for the past 8 years, so I kind of.
That makes sense. Yeah. It's like, it's not a direct, like, oh, I make a $1 million deal because of Housewives, but it's like,
you have more
a
visibility.
rising tide lifts all boats, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And like when it comes to social media, I absolutely have more visibility because of my platform, and I'm able to utilize that platform and lend it to my clients, which helps me get their home sold better, right? Which is a really nice thing for me to be able to say to people when I go in for a listing appointment. Like, look, I'm going to outmarket any other local agent. That's very helpful for me. But it's just kind of like what sets me apart. What actually gets me my business and my deals is doing the job and doing the job well.
Yes. Do you think Jen should do the tile for Carmella's next
for 20
project?
grand, man, I'll pick out the tile. I'm like, hello, I'm in the space. Holler at your girl, right?
Like, I've looked at tile before.
Can't get the tile job. Can't get the Dior bag. Like, what's going on, Carmella?
Hopefully you won't get the restraining order next. Like that's
that's probably what I will get out of this whole thing.
Depending how the reunion goes.
Right? Yeah, we'll see.
Do you like stress about reunion after all these seasons? No.
I never did, to be honest. I feel like I just always am in a pretty good position where I say everything I have to say during the season. So I never really feel like I'm in the hot seat.
That's the way to do it. But you watch the show?
Yes.
It bothers me so much when people are like, I didn't watch the season.
Emily doesn't watch it. She's never watched it. It bothers me so much. Like, I get so angry at her.
Is she not curious? Like, I don't.
She is, but she's like, I can't take it. And I'm like, okay, well, mostly because she's had issues because she doesn't like the way she looks. I'm like, bitch, you are so fit right now. If you
watch
did not
this
watch
season,
it, you look so fucking good.
It's
you're missing out on yourself if you don't watch it. And she won't do it. She can't do it.
You know, it's so funny because she has so many fun moments too.
Where
it's bringing like the sandwich in the sauna.
She's the worst. I know. I'm like, and that shit made me laugh out loud.
Right.
Yes, and she won't do it. And I get very mad at her about it because I'm like, how can you, like, sometimes I want your opinion about things and I can't get her opinion about things, you know? Right. But so that's frustrating.
Is she on social media? Like, is she seeing stuff that people are saying? Like, how much do you pay attention to like the temperature of the season?
You know, I'm on there.
Yeah.
I try to stay on my own platforms because they're nice, you know? Yes. And when you go out there,
I like to scroll my like real estate feed. Like,
if I accidentally stumble upon like, you know, a general, I'm not clicking on your shit. No way. You know what I mean? Because it's like, you just don't know what you're going to get.
Exactly.
You know? I'll watch your content, but I'm not going in your comment section. I'll say that, you know?
That makes sense.
But I will say, watching it go from absolute, like, I feel like the toilet of the internet, the hate train, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like I am actually making some progress there too with people. I feel like people are really starting to come around on me.
Sometimes
you know?
all it takes is, 8 years.
Just gotta outlast these people, you know?
A couple trips to the salon.
Right. I'm like, look, I could do it, guys. Just give me a chance.
And in 8 more years, you could be on top of the world.
I will be better than DeBro by then. Are you kidding me?
By season 28.
Right. And I'm the youngest. I mean, I could be on this show for a long time.
You got 30 more years.
Yeah, I got a good 30 years of you guys, so buckle up.
Well, okay, we will see you back here for season 55.
Yes.
Gina, thank you so much.
Thank you. This is super fun.
Thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. And until next time, be cool. Don't be all like uncool.